Hello, namaste. Today, I would like to talk about the three teachings or the three different realities, apparently, that a human being can encounter or have or possess or experience. The first one is just the normal human experience. I am a human being and I live in a world. And this planet Earth, is in a solar system, which is in a universe. It's very scientific in that sense. It's very biological. It's very sensorial. It's all about the five senses and what I am perceiving using my five senses. And historically, it might also have been called man versus nature, man versus man, man versus God, perhaps. And it's all about separation, basically. It's about I and other, me and you, me and, again, what we might call the 10,000 things, which is basically everything. You can imagine, you can actually look into your own experience, that this reality could be full of lots of pleasure, or it could be full of lots of pain, or it could be that dance between pleasure and pain. Nisargadatta Maharaj said that life is a river that flows between the banks of pain and pleasure. We get what we want, we don't get what we want. We get what we want, we don't get what we want. But basically, it's all about duality and survival. It's a belief and an experience that I was born on a certain date at a certain time, and that this body is who I am, and that this body at some point in the future will die. It will perish. It will be no more. Now, this is just the physical, biological reality of this body. So, of course, if that's what we believe, if that's what we're perceiving and living as our direct reality, then it would make sense that we want to keep this body alive. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that we are the most healthy of people. It might not even mean that we think really about living a long time or keeping the body alive. To be honest, I think a lot of people don't think about it. There is an assumption, I don't know why I did that, but an assumption that I will live forever, as a physical body, that it will never happen to me. I will never die. It's always going to be someone else that's going to get in the car accident or be in the plane crash or who's going to get cancer and whatnot. It's always going to be someone else. We never think it's going to be us, unless we are a hypochondriac or something like that. Then we might think it's always going to be us. And we probably have something right now. But for the most part, people assume that they will wake up tomorrow morning and they will have another day to live. And so there's not a lot of anxiety about it. Now, of course, if you have a lot of money and you have a very comfortable life, then that belief and experience is even stronger within you. You feel like I'm untouchable, all is well. I come from a good family. I come from a good country. I live in a nice neighborhood, whatever it might be. I have a good job and nothing will happen to me. Of course, we all know that even within that story, it is full of change. And we never really know what is going to happen next. And that can be exciting for some people, or it can also be very scary for other people. Some people think about death a lot. They fear death. They fear the end of the physical body. And they might actually be ruminating or thinking about that all the time. And it might even become a neurosis or something like that. How can I stay alive? What am I going to do? There is the existential dilemma as well that can exist within somebody. Who am I? Just at a basic level, who am I? What is my meaning and purpose? Why am I here? What am I going to do? Will I be successful? We might not use that word, but basically, will I have friends? Will I get married? Will I have children? Will I have a good life? Or will my life be painful and fraught with all kinds of bad or anxious, anxiety-producing events or something like that. So that's basically the human experience. Anything else to add to that? It's about survival and longevity. I want to live as long as I can. And of course, while I'm alive, I want to have a good life if it's possible. So that brings in desires for pleasure and fear of pain. Again, I'm going after all the things that I think will make me happy. If I can get these things, a new car, a new house, a new wife, no offense to the old wife, but then I will be happy. All will be well. So we have a bubble around us. And again, depending on what kind of character you are, you may be more sympathetic or empathetic or compassionate towards others, but there's still separation. But you might feel the pain of others. You might watch the news and feel very bad about the people who don't seem to have as much as you have or don't have as good a life as you have. Or there might be a sort of detached, well, there might be, I don't care. Lately, there's this book, I Don't Give a Fuck or something like that. It seems to be very popular. Don't give a fuck. Don't care about anything. I don't know. I guess it works for some people. But anyways, you could be very detached and very sort of in denial about all the suffering that is surrounding you. Anyways, all kinds of possibilities, all kinds of different people, different kind of characters in the world. And again, it's not that the human is a static character that's always responding or reacting to life in the same way. That reaction, those reactions can change from day to day, from hour to hour. It could be said that we all have a certain threshold for pain. We have a certain amount of patience and the ability to tolerate pain to a certain degree. And it might seem that we're very compassionate and caring for an hour, maybe a day, but in a very extreme, painful situation where there's a lot of suffering or trauma, at some point we might say, oh, I'm burnt out, or this is too much. This is overwhelming. I can't take anymore. I need a break. This is too much pain. And that can happen as well. Anyways, I'm saying a lot more than I thought I would about the human experience. We all know about the human experience because we are living it. All we have to do is look at our lives, and we can just, if we pay a little bit of attention and just sort of look at our thoughts, our feelings, our experiences, what's happening in our life, look at our bank account, look at our family, our friends, basically our reality, we can tell and sort of report upon that reality and talk about how much pleasure we have or how much pain we have. This is how I tend to look at things in terms of pleasure and pain. There are other ways, of course, to frame life and reality, but basically for the human being, he wants to be happy. All right. So now this is all the story, of course. This is all the story, but at some point it could be one of two things. Now for myself, it was both. But anyways, one of two things could happen. There could be so much suffering that it makes you want to escape that suffering. It makes you cry out to a God or to the universe and say, help me, save me. This is too much. I'm afraid. I don't understand where my life is going. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't look good, perhaps. And I want this suffering to stop. Can you help me? Can you save me? Can you guide me? Can you liberate me? But that might be farther down the road. So this could be the beginning of a relationship. Is that my dog? What is that noise? It could be the relationship between you and God, or you and the universe, or you and religion, or you and a therapist or a spiritual teacher. It's a very odd noise. But basically, it's a yearning for something that will save you from the pain and suffering that you're having. And it's my dog. Hi. He's making noises. Anyways, he's dreaming. What is he dreaming about? The other reason that we might go towards religion or philosophy or a spiritual path is curiosity. Maybe we have a decent life, happy life, maybe a wonderful life, but there's still something inside or something here, maybe, it could be either one or both, that's questioning, why am I here? What is my ultimate meaning and purpose? Is it only life? Is it just about going to work every day, 9 to 5, crunching the numbers, going home, watching TV, and going to bed, and doing it all over again the next day? Or is there something more? Is there something more to this reality? It just could be a curiosity. Are there angels? Are there demons? Are there ascended beings? Is there something else? Is there another reality that for some reason I can't see? Maybe there's Maya, some kind of a filter in between me and a greater spiritual reality. And so that could just motivate you and move you towards a spiritual path or a religious path. Again, a different kind of path, one that's, let's say, not so physical or materialistic, which isn't just about the survival of the body, something a little bit more, well, you could say lofty, but that's kind of judgmental in a way. But anyways, it's something else. And so upon that search, upon that path, apparent path, you might come across different teachings, religions, teachings, and you might come to, hello, hi. You might come across something that talks about oneness. So up until this point, it's pretty much been you and the world, right? There's a job, you want the job, and it's between you and 5 other people, and you're going to do your best. It's very competitive. It's me and you and us and them, or it's my country against your country, or even my football team against your football team. People get crazy and competitive about all kinds of things, but it's basically what the ego is identifying with. This is my team. Your team beat my team, and people get so upset and emotional about a team which they don't even play on and probably don't even have the talent to do so. But anyways, but yeah, that's that. Up until this point, there's a lot of us and them, a lot of separation, a lot of duality. But at some point, there might be a dawning, there might be a glimpse, there might be an aha moment. There might be a really good meditation where sort of the clouds part and you feel a sense of clarity and a sense of oneness with what is. So this is part 2 now. This is the oneness teaching, basically. And there are different names for it and different kinds of experiences. But basically, I think you'll understand what I'm talking about. There's still a me. There's still a you. But now it's not me against you. It's me with you. It's the realization, to some degree, either conceptually or literally, that you and I are from the same source, the same God, the same universe. It might even just be a humanitarian oneness that basically says, you know what? You and I share the same planet. It would make sense that we work together and in collaboration to make this planet a better world, a better experience for everyone. And that could have all kinds of ramifications. I mean, it could be economic or political or anything like that, which basically says, look, it's not about me and you, it's about all of us together as a whole. This is where ideals start coming and principles and goals to make this reality better and to try to improve things. It's very noble. It's very beautiful. How can we help? How can we reduce suffering? This is when people start going to homeless shelters or soup kitchens, or depending on what country you live in, it might look a little bit different. But basically, how can I be of service? Lord, use me. How can I help you and your children in this reality? How can I make it a better place? How can I reduce suffering in the world? Maybe it's a Buddhist, non-religious path, and then it's more about what is happening here? What is the suffering that we're all experiencing as human beings? Are we actually separate? Maybe we're not separate. Maybe you and I are one. There's still obviously the perception that this is my body, and if I, were to hurt my body or something like that, that you wouldn't feel that, right? If I stub my toe, you don't feel that pain. So there still is that separation. There still is the acknowledgement of 2 physical bodies and 2 physical experiences. Also, of course, what might arise during this period is the thought of a soul or an atma or a spirit. So now, again, it's not so much a physical reality. Now there's a sense, a realization, and an acknowledgement that there is a soul living inside this body. And there might even be the belief, the hope for sure, that when the body dies, the spirit will live on forever. It will either go to heaven, it might go to hell, depending on the dogma or the belief system that you're adhering to. But basically, the end of the body, again, remember in the first teaching, it was all about the physical body and keeping that body alive for 50 years, 60 years, 70 years, maybe 100 years. After 100, I don't think anyone really wants to live anymore. But anyways, keeping that body as long as possible. But then when it dies, khalas, it's over. A little bit of Arabic there. It's over. That's it. End of the story. But the next story, the oneness teaching, usually is more of a spiritual story. Again, it could be humanitarian, but it's basically saying, I am eternal. I am a spirit. I am a soul. And when this body dies, I will become one, even more so. I'm one now, but I'm going to become even more one with a separate God who is somewhere else. Maybe he's here. Maybe he's in heaven, maybe he's in Jannah, maybe he's in paradise, maybe he's in a loka, is it called? A different reality, a higher reality. Maybe there are 7 stages of reality or 7 levels of heaven, could be. But basically, it's a happy ending in that sense. And it says, you know what, death, maybe it's still scary. I'm attached to the physical world. I don't really want to die, but if I die, when I die, rather, I know now that this soul, whatever is inside of me, this spirit will live on forever, or at least until I incarnate in my next body, which could also be part of your belief system, that there's reincarnation and that there's a soul that just keeps going from one body to another body to another body. But eventually, I think most of those stories would say that at some point, that soul would stop incarnating, the wheel of samsara would stop, the soul would jump off the wheel and say, thank you. I think 1,000 lifetimes is enough. I've learned enough. I've had enough experiences. And now I'm going to ascend or just bask with God for eternity or something like that. So it's definitely a softer version compared to the first teaching. It says, you know what? I'm going to try to get along with you. I'm going to try to live in harmony with you. Maybe we're going to have a lot of love and friendship and fellowship and bliss, and we're all going to come together on Sunday and we're going to sing songs and we're going to praise the same God or maybe multiple gods. But it's not so much you and me, us and them. There still will always be that human element where you bump into people and excuse me, and there's frustration and anger and jealousy. Why did he get the job? I'm more qualified, and this kind of a thing. But it reduces. Apparently, that's the story. I'm telling a story here. That's the story that when there's a oneness teaching that's more alive in you, there is less friction, more harmony, and less I and them. So it seems like a higher position as well, right? I'm no longer just a human being. I have elevated. I'm looking down at humanity saying, look, we can all work this out. We can live together. I know the way now. I realize that we're all one. So all of you political parties, stop fighting and quibbling and realize that we're all one. Let's work together. Let's help the poor. Let's feed the hungry. Let's heal the sick and whatnot. And we'll make this, again, a better reality, a better world, which is very beautiful, very wonderful, very noble, very, very loving, very nice. And it has very good intentions behind it. So oneness teachings are very good from that sense. So moving on now to the third teaching, or third reality, if you want to call it that, would be Advaita Vedanta. And to be honest, when I thought about this idea, I was cleaning out my cat's kitty litter box this morning. You never know when you're going to be inspired or think about something. But I was thinking about oneness teachings and Advaita teachings, and for myself, for such a long time, I might still even refer to Advaita as oneness, because for most people, it's sort of a quick way to sort of let them know what it's all about. Oh, it's all about oneness. We're all one. Oh, okay. God is one. All is well. Everything's good. But so I'm getting ahead of myself. But the Advaita teaching really is saying, from what I understand, that there's not two. That's it. Advaita means no separation, not two. So most people think, oh, it's not about two, it's about one. But Advaita is actually saying there's not even one. What? Not even one? If there's not one, then what is there? And the answer that is typically given is nothing. This is nothing. It's appearing as everything, but it's no thing. It's emptiness and fullness at the same time. It's empty, full. It is the absolute appearing as the relative. Now, even these words sound dualistic. You could just use one word, this. All there is this. This, what is this? This is whatever is appearing to happen. Hands moving, mouth speaking, sitting on a chair. That's all there is what is happening, and also what is not happening. All there is what is. Advaita also says, now remember, for sure, in the first teaching, we had me and all of you, right? Me and God, me and nature, me and mankind, and all that. In the second one, it was like, okay, yes, there is separation, there is duality, but we all come from the same source. We're all brothers and sisters. We're all one humanity. It's all of us together as a whole. Beautiful. Advaita is saying, there's no one. There isn't a self already. Not in the future, there will become. No, there's no becoming. There's no time. There's no space. There's no progress. There's no process from A to B to C. There's no movement. There's no thing. Not the concept of nothing. Oh, it's all nothing. No. There's nothing. Nothing is actually happening. It's an appearance. Oh, I am aware of the appearance. No, it's saying there's no one in the appearance and no one outside of the appearance, or even something called appearance as a thing that could be separate from a someone who is aware of that appearance. There's only an appearance. And of course, it just keeps breaking down more and more. Eventually, we would say there's not even an appearance. But perhaps that's, there are a few words that sort of describe it. But again, this is indescribable. There's no one in it and there's no one outside of it who could describe everything, or who could even describe this. There are no things. There is no person who is aware of something else, something separate, a subject-object relationship. I am aware of this. I am aware of everything. I am aware of God. Everything collapses. The I, in a way, the I am is awake right now. I am here. I am now. I am here. I am now. In a way, in a very real way, that I goes to sleep. It disappears. And in that moment, it is seen that it never existed in the first place. It was an illusion, a phantom self. There never was an I. Right now, there's no I here, and there's no I there. There's no here, there's no there. There's no distance. All there is immediacy, aliveness, absence for no one. This is unconditional freedom. Anything can happen. Everything does apparently happen. This is unconditional love because there's no separation. Everything is allowed. There's no conditions. This is not allowed. This is allowed. Look at the world. Look at the reality, the apparent reality. Everything is allowed by reality. People, for sure, the mind, again, going back to the separation story, for sure, people don't want certain things to arise. Maybe war appears and people say, no war, we're going to fight you, or we're going to protest, or whatnot. And all of that, of course, from the human perspective is wonderful if you want to go back there. It's noble. It's, of course, the human doesn't want pain. The human doesn't want suffering. So all attempts to reduce or mitigate suffering, to make it go away, of course, from the perspective of the human, is beautiful and noble and natural. Nobody wants to suffer. So, ironically, the me really is the suffering element. Without a me, a contracted energy being there, there will still be pain and pleasure, but for no one. But there won't be that suffering of feeling like a contracted self who is separate from everything else. There will just be vast, even beyond vast, vast nothing, nothingness or beingness. It has been said that this is what we all long for. We long for that absence. We long for the absence of suffering, the absence of separation. But it's not what we as a person wants, because it's the death, if you will, of something that was never actually alive, but something that feels very, very real. I am here and now, and I, again, want to last and live forever. And when the body dies, I want to live and last forever as a spirit or a soul, as an Atma or a Jiva. But already there isn't a self. This is the message of Advaita. Advaita Vedanta, it's the end of knowing. It's the end of someone who is separate from something that would know something. I know this. I have clarity about this. I understand this. The I will never know Advaita in that sense, because the I, when the I goes to sleep, when the I dies, when the I disappears, when that contracted energy apparently releases into nothing, then there's no one left to know anything. Even now, no one is speaking. No one is listening. No one is doing anything. There is only the appearance of actions, but there's no chooser and there's no choice. Choice implies two, coffee or tea, but there isn't two. There aren't two. There isn't even one. So most apparent people will hear this message and run out of the room because they want to exist. They want to be in control. They want to control how much pleasure they have in their life, and they are willing to do whatever in order to try to maintain that pleasure and keep that pleasure and control things. But already, even those people aren't doing anything because there isn't a them. It's not that they are not doing anything. It's that there isn't a them to do anything. There's no doer. Some people say, my phone, some people say there's no doer, God is the doer. But then again, that is dualistic. That's projecting a Godhead separate from you, and you're sort of like a puppet in a way, and God is pulling the strings and deciding what you'll do. There's no separation. There are no two things. This is the message of Advaita Vedanta. Nothing. So again, why would anyone want to listen to this message? Because maybe something inside resonates with this message. Maybe you hear that all is nothing appearing as everything, that everything is whole and total and complete and full, and there's nothing to do and nowhere to go because this is already it. Maybe something resonates with that. And of course, as long as there is the contracted separate me energy, it still believes that it's going to get something when it dies, which is impossible. But it believes it. It's very hopeful, very optimistic. When I die, when I have my ego death, I'm going to experience oneness and bliss. It's going back to the second story, the second teaching. All there is unconditional freedom, unconditional aliveness, unconditional love for no one. Namaste.